People in my life that said they loved me and the whole time they was taken from me.
The part about it is nobody knows how heavy it gets. That's what I was saying. You see the glitz and the glamour, and you think they got it all. But a lot of times when you come into this industry, you have people who say they're there for you, but a lot of times they're just there to get what they can get. Clive is like my father. You know, it all started with him.
Andre Harrell didn't just drop dead, he was erased. But who were the people behind it? Well, Fantasia just pointed straight at two of the most powerful men in the music industry, Clive Davis and Diddy. In a chilling reveal that's shaking the internet, Fantasia claims Andre had secrets, the kind that could have burned down entire empires. But before he could speak, before he could write that tell-all, he was gone. Fantasia's story isn't just about being chewed up and spit out by the industry. It's about what she saw, who she was around, and what it cost her to survive it. This isn't about fame. This is about a machine built on silence, power, and sacrifice. And now that Diddy's being dragged into federal court and Clive's name is creeping back into headlines, the pieces are finally starting to connect. Now let's go back, all the way back, because the setup was already in motion before Fantasia even opened her mouth to sing. When Fantasia Barrino won American Idol in 2004, the country celebrated like they had just discovered the next Aretha Franklin.
Guess what that means?
Yes, sir.
Going to Hollywood.
You're going to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
She was just 19 and literally a high school dropout, a single mom, no stylist, no media training, just raw, unfiltered talent and a voice that could make pastors cry and R&B legends nod in respect. She was everything the public loved, vulnerable yet powerful, real yet gifted. But behind all that applause, a girl who had no idea what she had just stepped into. Because the Idol stage was just the entry point. The real stage, the music industry, was where the game was played. And nobody told Fantasia that she was walking into a system that didn't protect girls like her. It preyed on them. Right after her win, Fantasia was signed to Clive Davis's J Records, a label known for developing powerhouse vocalists. And at first, it all looked promising. Big interviews, chart-topping singles, standing ovations at the Grammys. But behind closed doors, she was drowning.
Honestly, I wish that I had somebody that came in straight, you know, right after I won, that was like my manager now. Somebody who truly cared for me as a person before the music and all of that stuff. Because when you have somebody like that, you have somebody that'll tell you when you're wrong or when you're right. Somebody that's helping you watch over all of your things. You know, when you win, you got endorsement deals coming, you're on tour. There's so many different money coming in from every different what you raise. So you being 19, you're on the road. They bring somebody and say, okay, this is such and such, nice to meet you. They're gonna be your accountant, and this is, you know what I mean? It's like a fast, everything is so fast.
There were no financial advisors, no honest lawyers. Fantasia was just thrown into the machine and told to keep smiling. The team Clive assembled around her wasn't built to protect her. They were there to profit from her.
And I would have wished somebody would have came to me and said, let's think in the future. Maybe you shouldn't buy this. Maybe you should, you know, check your accountants and make sure you know what's coming in, what's going out. Just, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, nobody did that.
And that's when it became clear. Fantasia wasn't brought in to thrive, she was brought in to serve. But Fantasia wasn't just unlucky, because the men who were building the machine around her, they'd done this before. Let's talk Clive Davis. On the outside, he's hailed as a music genius, the man who discovered Whitney Houston, the mogul behind Alicia Keys, Janis Joplin, and countless others. But behind that suit and tie legacy is a man surrounded by decades of whispers.
I just did an interview with Clive Davis, and one of the questions that I asked him was, what do you do after seeing Janis Joplin, after seeing Whitney Houston, working with Alicia Keys and all of these young artists coming in at a young age? What do you do to prepare them for what they're about to embark upon? And his answer was that he doesn't get involved in the personal lives of artists.
In this industry, that kind of silence can be deadly, because personal lives are where addiction starts, where breakdowns happen, and where artists spiral. And Clive, the man at the center of so many of those careers, has never answered for how many of those spirals happened under his watch. And then there's Diddy. Diddy was Clive's golden child, mentored by him, funded by him, protected by him. In 1993, Diddy, who was just 23 at the time, was given the resources to build Bad Boy Records. And the man who gave him that push? Clive. People in the industry started asking questions. Why him? Why so fast? Why that much power so young? Well, rumor has it, allegedly, Diddy didn't just impress Clive with his talent. Whispers say there were personal favors.
And it's been said, allegedly, that he forced Diddy to do certain things with him in order for Diddy to start his career. He basically gave Diddy the opportunity to start Bad Boy Records, and if it wasn't for him, then Diddy would be nowhere.
There were parties. There was loyalty that wasn't just professional. And that bond? It was deeper than anyone was willing to admit publicly. Some even say Diddy did things he couldn't take back to get his foot in the door. Things that made him feel like he owed Clive. Things that made him a mirror of Clive.
Hip-hop mogul Suge Knight has a different take on it, and if you don't know who Suge Knight is, Google him. He is not a man you want to mess with. So what happens is Suge walks into Jimmy Iovine's office at Interscope Records and hears something that he probably shouldn't have heard, and it went like this. And this next part is Suge's words. He said, "I'm here because Clive Davis told me that him and Puffy's real tight, and, lovers. So I thought he was talking like they got love for each other. I'm like, aight? He said, nah, they are lovers," he continued. And I'm like, why do you keep saying that? I said, are they lovers like F and sucking? And he said, I don't want to say that, but that's what it means, right? Now, apparently that's something that Suge Knight was not supposed to talk about, but if you know anything about Suge Knight, he really doesn't care what people think.
And once Diddy got in, he didn't just follow Clive's playbook, he perfected it. Now, here's where things start getting dark. Andre Harrell wasn't just another exec. He was the one who gave Diddy his first real shot. He hired him at Uptown Records. He mentored him. He taught him the game. But guess what? Andre got replaced by his own intern, the same intern he vouched for. And not long after that, Andre was gone. People said it was just business, that Diddy had outgrown him. But behind the scenes, rumors were flying that Andre knew too much. About Clive, about Diddy, about the early days of Bad Boy, and what had to happen for it to get off the ground. There were whispers he was working on a book, a tell-all. Then, suddenly, Andre Harrell died of a heart attack in 2020. And you want to know the real conspiracy? Most of the original team behind Uptown Records is dead. Kim Porter allegedly died of pneumonia. Heavy D had a heart attack, despite being in good health. Al B sure also fell into a coma while allegedly working on a book. And Jaguar Wright has been calling this out for a while now.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said it was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. Then right after that, Al had a meeting, and our survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. Al B. Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma. Has Puffy ever been in a coma? Has anything happened to him? He must be the luckiest motherfucker, because it seems like everybody that worked at Uptown Records from the very beginning, just him.
Only one person stayed untouchable, Diddy, and the man who mentored him through it all, Clive Davis. By 2010, Fantasia had been in the industry for 6 years, long enough to see that the people who claimed to love her were only loyal to the checks. She had won awards, performed around the world, and sold millions of records. But one night, alone in her Charlotte home, she climbed into her closet with a bottle of sleeping pills and Bayer, and she meant not to come out. That was no publicity stunt. That was a planned exit. She had written goodbye letters to her daughter Zion, to her brother, to her mother, to her team. She wanted them to know she wasn't running away. She was just done being used.
Nobody knows how heavy it gets. That's what I was saying. You see the glitz and the glamour, and you think they got it all. But a lot of times when you come into this industry, you have people who say they're there for you, but a lot of times they're just there to get what they can get, or because money is involved. And I'm 26 years old, and so many times I've looked around and I've noticed that everybody who started with me, they are gone. And nobody was there to help me clean it up. So I had to do it all by myself.
3 days before that moment, she had stopped eating, stopped talking, locked herself in a guest room, and the most heartbreaking part, no one noticed. Not her team, not her label, not even her family.
I think I was just overloaded with everything, with carrying 6 years of so much. You know, I always take a licking and keep on ticking. And You know, everybody feels like I'm so strong. She's tough. She's got it. She's got it. And it just became heavy for me, and to the point where I just wanted to be away from the noise. You know, I always said, it seems like when I go and try to do the good things to better myself, it doesn't blow up like all the drama blows up.
She was spiraling, and the media turned it into a scandal about an affair with a married man. But they missed the real story. Fantasia had been failed by everyone.
You know, I think everybody feels like I tried to harm myself over a man, but you know, I've been in a lot of bad relationships, you know, so I think that had somewhat to do with it, because, you know, it was so heavy. It was brand new information. I was already going through so much, but I think it was just 6 years of everything, of me holding all that stuff on the inside and not letting it out.
The breakdown was a direct result of the silence, the neglect, the pressure, and the trauma. She didn't need more PR. She needed someone to actually care. And here's the thing that still haunts her fans to this day. Fantasia was never supposed to survive that night.
I think when I woke up, I figured out, like, oh God, it's just gonna be more drama. You know, I know all these nurses, they know me. They probably voted for me. And I felt like this hospital is gonna be just full of press in just 1 second, but they became my friends. You know, I was in the hospital and I wasn't in the hospital up under my name. They gave me a different name. Nobody asked me anything about what was going on in the press.
The Uptown curse isn't about bad luck. It's about what happens when people get too close to the truth. And the truth, in this industry, gets you erased. Whitney Houston, Lisa Left Eye Lopes, Janis Joplin, Kim Porter. A list of female legends who died too soon and had one thing in common: Clive Davis. Whitney was Clive's crown jewel. He discovered her, mentored her, and stayed attached to her brand even as she spiraled publicly. And when she died in 2012, just 2 days after reportedly arguing with Clive, people started asking questions. That same weekend, Clive held his annual pre-Grammy party in the same hotel Whitney died in. Then there was Brandy, who Whitney allegedly handed a secret note to just hours before she passed. That note was never revealed. Brandy said it was personal, but industry insiders believe Whitney was trying to warn her. Left Eye from TLC died in a car crash in Honduras. She had been trying to distance herself from the industry. She was making a documentary. It vanished. Janis Joplin, also one of Clive's early stars, died of an overdose shortly after a phone call with him, the last one before she passed. And what do all these women have in common with Fantasia? They had voices, they had pain, and they all wanted to talk. But only Fantasia lived to do it. She saw the signs. She lived through the spiral. She watched how the system crushed women who got too loud or too independent. Whitney didn't survive. Janis didn't survive. Left Eye didn't survive. But Fantasia came back. And now that Diddy is on trial and Clive's name is back in the public's mouth, her story doesn't sound like just one artist's breakdown anymore. It sounds like a pattern, and she might be the only one left who can still tell the truth. Yet, she almost said no to the biggest role of her career. When producers called her about reprising the role of Celie in the 2023 remake of The Color Purple, her gut reaction wasn't excitement, it was fear. Because this wasn't just a movie role, Celie was her. And playing that character meant reopening wounds she'd spent years trying to forget. Let's not forget that Fantasia had already played Celie on Broadway in 2007, and it damn near broke her. Every night she walked on stage and relived abuse, isolation, silence, survival, and when the curtain closed, she couldn't leave it on stage, she took it home. The pain followed her.
Fantasia,
Yes.
you played Celie on Broadway in 2007. And when you were presented with the opportunity to do this again in the film, you initially said no.
Yes.
How come?
Because her walk is not an easy walk.
No.
And she carries a lot. She carries everybody. And at the time when I was doing Broadway, I was carrying everybody. And my life was so much like Celie's. So I guess I just went back to that. But I'm glad that I did it because I'm not that girl anymore.
That's right.
And I got to see so many different things in Celie. And she was really the ish.
But this time was different. This time Fantasia was older, stronger. She had therapy, she had boundaries, she had survived. She didn't just accept the role, she owned it. And after nearly dying in 2010, Fantasia did something the industry never expected. She started over, not with another flashy album, not with more endorsements, but with life skills. She learned to cook, to clean, to drive herself, to manage her own money, to raise her daughter with intention. She built a life from scratch.
So I cook my own food.
I don't need no chef. I'm from North Carolina. My grandma and my mama taught me how to cook.
Sammy Mack here. Hey,
Oh, shoot.
No. I'm interrupting myself.
Yeah, no, I cook my own food. I don't have a chef. I go get my own groceries. I don't have a driver. I drive my own car. You know, that is fake. I don't want that life, or else I quit. I don't want it. It's already a lot out here in the industry. I don't want that life. I'm just like you, sis. Just like you. So no, I cook my own food.
And it worked. By 40, Fantasia was no longer a tabloid headline. She was a mother, a wife, a believer, a woman who had survived the type of industry that buries people like her. And she wasn't bitter. She was sharp. This part of her story wasn't about selling a record. It was about living through something the industry hoped would kill her. And now, she was finally living out loud, on her own terms.
That you see, they look like they have it. And we smile, and we come out, and we put on a good show. But in real life, some of them are struggling, and we don't have it. I'm just now building myself back up. I lost everything twice.
And she's finally speaking out about her past.
I had people in my life that said they loved me, and the whole time they was taken from me.
I love you, Fantasia!
I never get on social media and talk about them, because it's not my battle to fight.
Amen.
But the Bible says, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm.
Gotta know the word.
So be careful how you treat people, because you never know who's standing beside you.
Diddy's rise wasn't just fast, it was unnatural. He became the face of hip-hop moguldom almost overnight. He was everywhere. But with that power came darkness. And the rumors, they weren't just rumors anymore. Jaguar came forward with even more disturbing claims.
Because while she was working at Bad Boy, because she was one of the lead counsels for Bad Boy Entertainment, she witnessed something. She witnessed something that was disturbing to her. But what was really disturbing to her was the conversation that she had with Diddy after.
According to her, Diddy once made Christopher Williams perform a sex act on him in front of a Bad Boy attorney.
This young woman walked in to get approval on some paperwork, see. And when she walked in, the door wasn't locked, so she didn't think twice about just walking in. And when she walked in, she saw Christopher Williams performing fellatio on Puff. She was like, I just don't understand why you left the door unlocked. If you were in there doing that, why would you leave the door unlocked? He said, I'll do whatever the fuck I want to do in my building. And she's, I just don't know. He was like, it's power, see? I can make a man, he said, if I can make a man suck my dick, I can make people do anything for money. That's what you said, Puff, about Christopher Williams sucking your dick for a demo deal, and you cut him a check.
And that attorney, she didn't quit. She couldn't. Because people who try to walk away from Diddy don't always stay safe. He allegedly used secrets, recordings, and threats to keep people silent. And the more powerful he got, the more disturbing the stories became. But again, Diddy didn't invent this. He just perfected it. Then there's Clive, who bragged about his empire and came out as bisexual.
The marriage failed. I opened up myself to the possibility of a person rather than a gender. I have never stopped being attracted to women. So we're now dealing with the subject of bisexuality. This subject is very misunderstood because the old adage is you're either gay, you're straight, or you're lying. It's just not true.
And he has also been accused of using manipulation tactics. There were whispers that Clive also exchanged power and access for favors. People questioned why certain artists rose fast, while others were mysteriously blackballed. And here's where everything starts connecting. As of 2025, Diddy is being sued across multiple federal lawsuits for trafficking, violence, abuse, and threats. People are testifying under oath that he told them they could disappear, that people could die, that he was untouchable. The same energy Fantasia warned about 15 years earlier. Don't forget, Dawn Richard from Danity Kane literally told a court that Diddy threatened her life. And even Cassie, who kept quiet for over a decade, exposed years of horror on the stand. But the question is, how did he get this powerful? Who protected him for this long? And that leads right back to Clive Davis. Clive's name isn't in the headlines yet, but it's in every whisper and accusation.
The worst celebrity, like, that you've been around is like the most full of sin. I know no sin is greater, but like, just was like, damn, this
Clive Davis. Devil incarnate. Clive Davis. He
And here's the most disturbing part. Clive Davis has been caught committing crimes before. Embezzlement, IRS issues. And guess what? He never saw a day in jail. So now, as Diddy's empire crumbles in real time, people are turning to the man who helped build it, the one who mentored him, who funded Bad Boy Records, who stood behind Whitney, behind Fantasia, behind the fallouts. Yet, he's pretending he knows nothing.
A lot of people are curious about the status of P. Diddy.
Status of what?
P. Diddy. Diddy.
The status of what?
What do you make of that situation? Right. No comment from Clive Davis.
Now, fans are asking, why is Clive still standing? Fantasia doesn't need a courtroom. She doesn't need a press release. Her survival is the story. Unlike Whitney, unlike Left Eye, unlike Kim Porter, Fantasia lived even though she wasn't supposed to. But what really happened to Andre Harrell? Who else had dirt? Who's still being protected? Now that the walls are falling, it's time we go back and ask, who else was silenced before they got the chance to talk? Andre Harrell died too suddenly. Whitney's death never sat right. Kim Porter's autopsy disappeared. And Fantasia? She almost joined them, but she didn't. She lived, and that survival might just bring the whole machine down. This goes deeper, and we're only just getting started. Watch our next video for even more tea.